John Fee was affiliated with the American Missionary Association before the Civil War. In 1855, the AMA, as it's called for short, reported that it had 3 missionaries in Kentucky. 2 of them were John Fee and George Candy. Their work included starting schools and churches in Jackson County. John Drew knew both of those men, and he supported their work. Now, I'd like you to go to the next document.
Okay.
Okay, all right. So George Candy wrote this newspaper article in 1913. He said that most people's ideas were influenced by slaveholding families, but there were some, quote, radical abolitionists in Jackson County when he arrived. Now, would you please read the highlighted area here for us?
At McKee, but few radicals there, Jack, Drew, and wife.
All right, so tell us about how you feel learning that John and Ibby were abolitionists.
I think it's amazing.
Amazing. And you probably suspected.
I suspected that they were.
Yes. So besides John and Ibby, other local people supported Candy and Fee in their work, but other folks did not welcome the abolitionist activity. When we talked with Dr. Turley, who was in the video, we learned that pro-slavery Kentuckians beat John Fee more than 27 times before they forced him to leave Kentucky in 1859. A little later, locals in Jackson County forced Candy and another missionary and a man who distributed Bibles and abolitionist materials to leave. The local people shaved the men's heads and covered them with tar.
Oh.
Now, Jackson County seems to have been more accepting of people of color than we might expect in a slave state. It had a mixed race community, and records show other mixed race couples like John and Ibby. But still, it's likely that John and other local abolitionists had to watch their backs, at least sometimes. That makes sense, right? So as we know, the United States went on to war with itself in 1861 over the issue of slavery. When other slave-holding states left the Union, Kentucky tried to remain neutral and not take sides. Within a few months, however, Kentucky's government sided with the Union. Now, that might seem like a strange thing for a slave state to do, but one factor in that decision was that many Kentuckians thought that they would be able to keep their enslaved workforce if they remained loyal to the federal government, right? John Drew later would experience Kentucky's backlash to emancipation.
Wow.
You might be wondering what John did during the war years. We saw earlier that he registered with the regular U.S. Army in 1863. We saw that. But he did not serve in the military. He did, though, serve his community. So if you'll go to the next document, and if you'll read the transcription there of the letter.
Dear brother, we, the undersigned, commend unto you our dearly beloved brother John Drew, as being a man of good, moral, and religious character, and worthy of all praise. He has been tending the South Fork Church the last spring and summer in connection with Brother Mobley and the church and congregation generally believe him to be a worthy and useful man for the ministry.
Have you ever seen that letter before?
I never have.
How do you feel seeing that letter?
I think he's a pretty remarkable man.
Pretty remarkable man. 2 white men wrote that in the middle of the Civil War, recommending that the American Missionary Association, AMA, appoint John Drew as minister to their church. Their request certainly says a lot about the way people regarded John Drew then, and don't you agree?
I agree.
Yeah. We also know that some of John's activities during the war took him out of Jackson County. After emancipation, John Fee returned to Kentucky and asked permission to set up a church for African American soldiers at Camp Nelson in Jessamine County. The Army said he could, but insisted that he also educate the soldiers. Of course, it was up to Fee to find teachers to help. Fee wrote to John Drew and asked him to come help with the school. John went, but he stayed only a month because the Army needed the school building for other purposes. Still, though, Fee asked John Drew specifically to help. So that says a lot about the kind of person your ancestor was and the regard his contemporaries had for him. You had a question about John Drew's connection to the establishment of Berea College. Okay, and we have not found any, but as you can see, he definitely had a connection to its founder, John Fee. All right, so that's not all we found.